Hey everyone, welcome back to the Track Limits podcast presented by Formula Addict. I am your host Swish with my co-hosts Fevin and Henny. Guys, we look great.
If I do say so myself, I've had a few too many coffees.
No more for you.
I'm like, yeah.
But today we are in Paris, the wonderful Paris. Not the best weather, but it is still warm, which is nice. And we got in last night, and we have a very, very great guest for you. A veteran in the motorsport world, an individual that has worked with drivers like Charles Leclerc, Isack Hadjar, Sebastian Vettel, Kobayashi, etc.
Keep it going.
What a pressure.
And we're going to go into his stories as an engineer, as a technical individual within this sport. Please welcome Christophe Perrin.
Woo!
Hello,
Welcome.
nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Nice to have you.
Very happy to be with you today.
Awesome. How are you feeling? How are you doing?
Very good, very good. Like you said, it's quite cold today, but I think still hotter than in your country, so it's okay.
For sure.
When he came in earlier, he's like, "Yeah, you guys have 3 meters of snow, right?"
Maybe not 3, but at least 1.5.
At least 1.5. We look outside and we say, "No, not today. We're staying inside."
We stay at home.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, this interview is a big thank you also to Isack Hadjar, who introduced us. And when we asked Isack, we're like, which guest do you think would be the best for this show? Your name came up right away.
Yeah. Really?
Right away.
Another step of pressure.
But we're going to go into a couple of questions. And I think the first thing we want to go is into Q1 related entirely to your racing career.
Okay.
So speak to us a little bit about some of the core accomplishments of your career. What are some things that you've accomplished that you're super proud of so far?
In 20 years, what I'm super proud of is what I really like today in my job is to really take young driver and to really grow them up at the top level of motorsport, of course. And when I have some guys like Isack, for instance, or like other driver like I used to have, to really feel that there is a potential in one kid and to really help him to develop and to succeed at the top level of motorsport is really something that I like. Of course, in terms of driving, technical stuff, but as well on the human being, the person himself. I really like this part. And for instance, what we did with Isack 2 years ago, I'm quite proud of it, to be honest. What I did with Charles, because when I got Charles in GP3 in 2016, before he was in F3 Euro Series, he was in Formula Renault before and in go-kart, and at the end he never won a championship when we reached GP3, and he was the first championship that he has won. So I was quite happy because I also gave him, I think, a bit the confidence in himself, in his talent, and it's also a part of the job that I'm quite proud and quite happy to do with my drivers, is to really grow them up as a global person and not only just driving, brake later, and go quicker in high-speed corner. It's just a complete vision of the driver evolution that I like to. So
yeah.
I'm quite proud of this, to be honest.
That's amazing. And what does that day-to-day life look like for you, both off-season and during the season?
So off-season, basically, we are doing a lot of data analysis of all the previous year, trying to extract some trends in terms of many technical aspects that I will not enter now. It will be boring for you. But basically, it's to guide the race engineer in directions that we try to analyze and to do some kind of improvement in the tools as well for quicker analysis. I'm also developing some software stuff to make some AI analysis quicker for race engineers. So it's a big part of the winter time, because once the season is launched with the travel, with everything, it's quite difficult to come back on really deep analysis that you have maybe 2 months to do during the winter. Yeah. And it's a problem that we have now, because now the season is finishing mid-November in Macau in Formula 3, and we restart. I'm leaving tomorrow in Bahrain. So we have only 2 months and a half maximum. We also take maybe 2 weeks of holidays.
Wow.
So it's now the off season is much shorter than what it was earlier in time, where we used to start the season sometimes only in May in Formula 3, and we were finishing it sometimes in October or in September.
And so during the season or during the off season, although it's short, how do you maintain your competitive edge?
But it's by doing all this data analysis and by pushing the race engineer to always wonder what they can improve. race engineer, but as well all the mounting of the car. We are making some big meeting all together with the mechanics as well. Every member of the team is key, and it's not only the setup that you are going to put on the car, is also how the car is built. Can we improve the bodywork mounting? Can we improve many stuff? So it's times that we take during this winter time, and we keep pushing every members of the team. Not only the race engineer, it's also the mechanics, even just the global structure of the team can always be improved and thought in order to improve efficiency.
And you mentioned the use of AI earlier. Is
Yes.
that a big part of has it become more of a big part in the last couple of years, or and where do you think the future of motorsport and AI
I think F1 start to do some stuff with that, and I think it's key for us in junior Formula to also start to approach these things. Basically, we are building some tools to do some big data analysis with statistics, mathematics. When we are quick, why? When we are slow, why? Trying to aggregate a lot of data and to extract some trends. So data scientists start to be as well quite important even in junior Formula. So because I think junior Formula now is much more professional than what it was 20 years ago when I started. To be honest, now the level in junior Formula is really impressive. And that's why as well I think junior Formula teams now are better to extract drivers and to put them in F1. And that's why I think globally the level of F1 driver nowadays is really high as well.
Yep.
Even higher than what it was 20 years ago, even if it's of course difficult to compare. But
And then with the junior Formula teams, I mean, Hitech, it has to be one of the best up there, right? And they have so many, great racers, but they're also involved in so many different racing categories.
yeah.
So how has that been, being a part of that expansion?
That was a big challenge in the last 5 years, to be honest, because basically Hitech today, when Oliver Oaks took over the role like 6 or 7 years ago, the Hitech of today is completely different to what it was, because Hitech's name is quite old, but how it is run today is only with Oliver Oaks as a lead, it's only like 6-7 years. So basically I joined them at the end of 2018 when we launched the F3 program, and then each year we add a program basically. So in 2020 we had the F2s, and we had the British F3s and the British F4s and the F4 UAEs, and but I have to say we are in our structures that we have today, we are younger than teams like ART Grand Prix or like Prema, of course, which I think are one of the two main reference in junior Formula, with Carlin as well.
Yep.
But I hope we are getting there quite quick, and we can even overtake them.
Yeah. And we actually had the ability to spend a few days at Hitech. We have a kid who's up and coming in GB3, Will McIntyre.
Ah, yeah.
So we had the ability to see the car reveal and do a tour of Hitech.
When was it?
This was like last week. Last weekend. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And
nice.
It was fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys have the factory is on point.
Yeah, the factory is new from 1 year and a half,
Yeah.
to be honest. And it's really, basically we built it in order to have the capacity to keep growing the company and with longer term view.
Yeah.
That's why it's quite huge, to be honest.
Oh yeah. And it's spotless. There's not a dust that can be found.
Yeah. Oliver for that is quite yes.
Isn't there 2 F1 simulators there too, right, Henny?
Yeah, there's the big F1 simulator that you guys have. That is like, they have like 8 projectors or something. It's crazy. It's
we made a big investment with this tool, because we are thinking it's also one of the most important tool to invest for the long-term future.
Yeah.
And we have 2 simulators. Yeah, it's true. And this one that you saw, we just have it since 1 year.
Oh wow,
It's
okay.
quite new.
Yeah. And in terms of even just the drivers that you work with, what has been the hardest challenge that you have faced with having young drivers, and whether it's immaturity or just not understanding that they're quick enough, but they have to learn to be patient?
It's a good question. What is the hardest thing? It's sometimes when you have drivers that they think are super talented, whereas they are not. So
how do you break that news?
I have been lucky enough to work with super talented driver, to be always in top teams and work with super driver. But sometimes even with the very good teams, we have drivers which are less good. And then, you have some drivers which are less good, but they know they are not so good, and their expectations are not that high. But the problem is coming when the expectation is there, whereas the talent is there. And this starts to be a problem. And this is when the difficult situations start to happen, to be honest.
Yeah.
And even more when the parents of this kind of driver are quite close. And if they think like their son, then it starts to be really a mess.
Yeah.
Well, kind of piggybacking off of that, I mean, you've worked with some of the most talented drivers, Charles Leclerc, George Russell, Sebastian Vettel. What do you think is the key characteristic or trait that you see in some of these young drivers, much like maybe you saw in the ones that you just mentioned?
I would say the most successful one in the long-term vision are the one which are always wondering what they can improve. Always what they can improve on themselves, but always what the team can improve, and they become like proper leader, like pushing each other and being able to federate people behind them. For me, it's a characteristic of all the guys that you just mentioned. They were all quite critical against themselves, against their team members, but always in a good way. To say we are not good enough in that. This is my fault. This is my fault. Let's move on. We are all together, and the honesty as well. The honesty is very important, I think. If they want to succeed at the top level and federate people behind them, at least I think the capacity of federation of people. For the driver is one of the key. The higher they go in level, the most important this quality is, I think. Especially in F1 when you have to work with 1,000 people behind you. It's even more.
Yeah, for sure.
And you worked with Charles, like you said, at a very young age. You know, the fact that you were part of, his first big championship is incredible. Charles is obviously one of our favorite drivers and a lot of people's favorite drivers. He's so talented. A lot of people put him up there, right? Especially on a Saturday in qualifying. People are like, he is normally faster than Max. Do you feel like he's been unlucky? Do you feel like that, no world championship so far has been an indication of skill or luck?
I think luck or unluck never comes by random. I think he's one of the fastest drivers I have ever seen on one lap pace, if not the fastest, to be honest. I made a poll in Red Bull Ring with him, 5/10 on P2, and between P2 and last, there was also 5/10.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So basically, I think on one lap pace is maybe even quicker than Max. It's difficult to know, obviously, but so I don't believe in luck. I also think that there is a lot of circumstances around him, but I don't think it's only bad luck. I still think, for instance, he was making too much mistakes in races, especially. So the pace on one lap was huge, but when the car was a bit behind, he was over pushing it sometime and making some mistakes. And this is something where he knows it and he has to improve on and to go up. So contrary to a guy like, for instance, Alonso, maybe he's less quick than Charles on a one lap pace. I think so. But in terms of being able to extract the maximum of his car and the materials that he has, whether he is P1, is P5, P10, P15, he will extract the maximum always of his material. So this is one area where I think Charles still can improve. Yeah.
And with him now next year, Lewis Hamilton is joining Ferrari. What do you think that dynamic is going to look like in that garage?
Well, for me, I think I have been lucky to work with Fred Vasseur for 15 years because I was in IRT Grand Prix when he was there. So, and I think Fred made a massive move. And I really think it will create an emulation between Charles and Lewis. It will be very interesting to see on the one lap pace who will be the quickest. Today, I cannot tell you which one will beat the other one. I cannot really say who really it will be the most exciting stuff that for next year. But I really think it will help for Charles to rise his game, because I think it's quite easy for a driver if your teammates are a bit weaker, you are pushing less yourself. And this is where Max is really impressive, to be honest, because in the last 5 years, his teammates were not at his level, but he still managed to push himself hard and to be at the top level. And this is one of the quality of Max that definitely I think Charles also still need to make a little step on that. Yeah.
That's great. And last question for Q1. There's a lot of rumblings right now in the junior categories about a kid going into F2, Kimi Antonelli. I don't know if you have your opinion about him. Do you think that one day he could take that Mercedes seat?
It's, to be honest with you, it's quite difficult for me to really speak about him because I followed him in go-kart because I was helping a kid at this moment in go-kart, and he was already quite impressive. I know that in junior Formula, in F4 and in Formula Renault last year, he made a really impressive job as a rookie. Basically, I think in F4 he won 3 championships in his first year in single-seater. He seems to be a pure talent, to be honest. His tests in F2 last year in Abu Dhabi were quite impressive. He was very close to Bierman at the end of the first day already. So definitely he's a pure talent, but he's only 18, and we don't know how the kid will develop and how... for sure, he has a structure around him with Mercedes, with Toto, Gwen being there around him. He's in Prema, which we all know is one of the best teams. So he has all the environment around him to be able to be successful. Now he has to deliver, and now he's in a position where he has never been before because now he has the pressure. And to be able to deliver when you have the pressure is different as well than when nobody expects you to succeed. So it's another part of the challenge that he will need to learn, and we will see if the kid is really a special one. Or not.
Or if he chokes, which is not, it's just very common, right? And when the pressure is high, and then the rookies come in.
Yeah, you have some drivers who are really performing under pressure.
Yeah,
they need this adrenaline of the quali to be able to perform. For instance, in winter tests, you never see them, and when comes the first quali, they are there. And you have some drivers which are completely the opposite. So I think Kimi already showed that he was able to deliver when pressure was going higher, because his last season in Formula Renault, he didn't start so well, to be honest. And at the end of 2 or 3 runs, he was maybe 30 points in the championship from the race driver, so Stan Shorn and Tramnitz. So I think we will see, but I think it can be it can be definitely a title contender. For his first year. We already saw in the past, anyway. Sorry.
You were asking a question around how many races.
Oh, yeah, just around F3. Yeah, with the F3 schedule, how many races are going to coincide with F1 and F2? Because I know Bahrain, you open.
Basically we have 10 race weekends at the same time than F1. We have after the World Cup in Macau, in Hong Kong, which is a bit special for Formula 3, which we won last year with Luke Browning, the Williams driver. And F2 has 14 race weekend at the same time than F1.
Cool.
Basically, we are doing the European, in addition to Bahrain and the EU rounds, we are doing European rounds for cost reason.
Yeah.
Smart.
That is a wrap for Q1. Verdict, people?
Purple.
Purple?
You got a purple sector?
Christophe is through.
I hate when my driver is not purple. So.
It's good to know.
Christophe is through to Q2. Stay tuned for that coming up.
Hey guys, quick break. But for this one, we need to get in character.
Hey, that's much better.
It's more like it.
Yeah, and we can promote one of our favorite sponsors, Surfshark. And let me start by saying, I love Surfshark for all the research in this podcast. Every time I go on a new webpage, I get a cookie pop-up. It's so frustrating.
Not the best type of cookie.
I don't get that.
Nope. Another feature that I love, and we basically just used 2 days ago when booking our flights to Portugal, you could use Surfshark, go on, turn it on first, and set the location that you want to be in. And from there's no price discrimination based on where you are. So you actually get the best and most fair pricing for your flights and just travel altogether. Oh, speaking of travel, whenever we're traveling and we want to watch some of the shows that we're streaming from home, we could turn on Surfshark, stream like you're at home. It is honestly one of the best useful tools that we have when we're traveling.
And we've a great deal. And so can all our listeners out there get the same deal.
Ooh,
so you can get 84% off your yearly subscription and get 4 months on top of that. So follow the link in the description below and get the same deal we're getting.
Yeah, the link right here.
Yeah.
And in the description box.
Perfect.
Thanks, Surfshark.
Welcome back to the Track Limits podcast. Christophe had a purple in Q1 and now is through to Q2. Christophe, you're feeling so far? Feel good?
Again, some pressure, but I'm starting the lap quite well, so I will try to finish it the same way.
Maybe pole? I don't know.
Of course, I hope.
So let's take you back. I'm curious as a kid, Where you grew up, was motorsport a big part of your family? How did you get into falling in love with the sport?
You would be disappointed with my answer because not at all.
Now
Not
I'm
at all.
even more curious.
No. My parents were not interested at all in motorsport. This comes when my uncle put me on a go-kart when I was 11, 12. And it was like a virus suddenly arrived.
Yeah.
And since that day, I wanted to be driver, to be honest, initially.
Yeah.
Like a lot of... but my parents, they didn't have the money, they didn't have the will to bring me on go-karts each race weekend. So they say, no way you will do driver. So it was working not too bad at school. So basically, I went for engineering too. And I still, try to drive on my side when I have some time off season.
Nice.
I quite like to do go-kart or rallying or this kind of stuff. But and obviously I made all the operations organized by the French Federation to detect talent.
Yeah.
Each time I arrived in final, but I never won.
Oh, no.
So at the end, I was also missing talent, I have to say.
I mean, not me. I'm not really good on the go-kart, but
You're pretty good.
not in comparison. Unfortunately, I just know where my skill set is, and it's not that. But we did a season where we did go-karting as well in Goodwood in Canada.
In Goodwood,
and it was pretty fun to watch. Michael's not here, but I would say he whooped everyone.
He's unbelievable.
He's
Her
too good.
husband is just on a different. She's his engineer.
Yes.
There you go.
I'm his engineer, performance
That's
coach.
That's why he's winning. I mean, we need to find our engineers.
I know, right? Yeah.
He's not allowed home unless he's winning.
You want a new job?
Yeah, I don't think he's old. I think he's a little too old now to be a race car. We should tell.
He still has that belief that he can like get into a car and kill people. Like literally.
I think he's talented. That's the thing. He
Naturally
did a time race. I forget. It was just somewhere where we live. It's nothing crazy, and he had no practice. His friend just asked him to fill in for him, and within I think it was 100 and so people that entered, and he came 17th.
Not bad.
It was just for him. He was like, I've never driven this car. Just got it, and it was an actual proper car. So he was pretty proud of that.
That's crazy. I think that was a Mazda car.
Yeah.
Mazda Cup or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
Not bad.
But anyways.
But yeah, taking you back, you also had a role within Renault Sports. Can you tell us about a little bit more about that? What your role involved and how it even helped you?
You went quite far.
Yeah, I did. You did a lot of research here.
Because I stayed 1 year in Renault Sport, where I was in charge of all the being the link between the teams and the technical supplier of the single seaters that Renault was looking after. Yeah. So it was the World Series by Renault 3.5, the Formula Renault 2 liters, and as well it was the year of the launch of the World Series by Renault. You remember the World Series by Renault? There was the Megane Trophy as well and Clio Cup. Yeah. So I was in charge of making all the link between teams and the supplier of the cars, and to improve the reliability, improve the userness of the car, and to make teams happier to use the Renault Sport products, basically.
Yeah. And I guess kind of continuing to talk about your career, like you from ART Grand Prix to Hitech, like how has your management style and just like overall, like how you've evolved as a leader?
The management style, when I started in ART Grand Prix, I was not managing anything because it was my first job after Renault Sport. So little by little, I become responsible, for instance, of the aerodynamic development in ART Grand Prix, because it was in the time in the Formula 3 where aero development was completely open, like it is in F1 now. Of course, you have a technical regulation, but you could do a lot. And so I think my management style went from being quite academic in terms of aerodynamics and to now having more a global view of the whole structure, the whole in a high tech. I think my added value is not only on technical side, is also as well on all the process to improve the global structure efficiency, I would say. So
I mean, I guess you touched on the aerodynamics aspect. Like how has that how has that significantly changed throughout your time?
Like I said before, it was quite open in Formula 3, and now for cost reason, basically in my last year in Formula 3, we spent some thing like 3 weeks in wind tunnel. We were doing
Right.
some CFD. We had quite some expense here for a Formula 3 team. So it was really, really interesting in terms of pure engineering. But to be honest, at some point it was just stupid for this amount of money to be spent to be at the front. And we have to remind that we have in junior Formula where the budget needs to be controlled. So basically the FIA tried to reduce what was possible to achieve in aerodynamics. So aerodynamicists were a bit sad.
Of course.
But it was good time, and all what we learn here, I can still use it in my F3 or in my F2 today, because it's still adding value for the race engineer today.
Exactly.
And we know that drivers are obviously competitive with each other. Are engineers competitive with each other?
The good ones, yes. yeah, of course. The race engineers are competitive, but I want to have in my team race engineers who are competitive, but they still have the group performance efficiency as the main goal.
Yep.
So I don't want to have selfish engineer. And this is the limit where you need to have competition spirit, but not selfish person. And this is where sometimes it's difficult to find the limit. And this is as a manager now, it's to hire the right profile is something quite important for the spirit in the team and for the performance globally.
And are there people, like, let's even look at F1. Are there people in F1 that you look at them and you're like, they're great at their job as a manager or even as an engineer?
I have to say, as a manager, because I know a bit Fred from ART, I know what he was doing in ART, and I think we can already see what he's starting to achieve in Ferrari in 1 year and a half, in less than 1 year and a half. I think he is already doing really good job. I have some friend of mine being an engineer, but I think Fred is one of the example coming from junior Formula who is I think really impressive. I think the work he made already in Sauber was quite impressive, but it was not so easy to see it because it was more far on the grid. Yeah. But at the end, I think his last year in Sauber, I think Sauber finished P6, if I'm right. Yeah. I think it was the best classification of Sauber since 10 or 15 years. So I'm quite impressed by his capacity of leadership and how to create winning environment.
And I mean, talking about F1 itself, regulations are coming 2026. It's a big overhaul. A lot of team principals, even engineers said, hey, this is not the way it should go. Is that the same opinion you have?
With the new regulation?
Yeah.
It's quite difficult, to be honest. It's quite an open topic. Obviously, with the world evolving, with more green, more of course F1 needs to do something because it's for the image it's giving to the external world. So people who are saying that it's not good, they can go in Formula E if they want. So I still think the F1 needs to be at the top of the technical aspect of the show, of course, but it's still if you want to have manufacturers involved in F1, they need to be able to sell something to their own customer. Exactly. So they need to show the added value of F1 involvement. Yeah. So I understand personally the decision that they are making. It's thanks to this change of regulations and that Audi is coming. Yeah. And that's why Cadillac may come as well. So I think it's good, I think, for the long-term vision of the sport.
Yeah, that's true.
And then on kind of final question on my end would be, what advice do you have for people watching that want to get into race engineering?
Work harder than your neighbor. Don't. I hope you will not need too much hour to sleep and to recover as well. And no, really, because when you have passion and if you are a hard worker, basically you will succeed. Maybe it will take longer time if you have no connection, nothing. But to be honest, I'm a good example. I didn't have any connection at all when I started, not at all. So it's if you have passion and you're a hard worker, it will come at some point, obviously. So yeah, and for the race engineering side, I would say put your ass in a go-kart. Because I saw quite often some race engineers trying to give advice to drivers, but they are not so good in terms of driving themselves. So sometimes their advice are shit. Let's be honest.
This makes no sense.
Yes. And sometimes the drivers, they can see it very quickly, and after he lost confidence in his race engineer.
Exactly.
So this is the worst thing when the driver is losing confidence in his race engineer, because the confidence is 2 or 3 tenths a lap.
Yeah, that's very true.
The last question I have is, we've talked a lot about your career and racing. Who is Christophe outside of that?
A nice guy.
We're seeing it. Don't worry.
No, I quite like simple things, to be honest. Barbecue with my friends.
Nice.
I used to follow a lot of sports because I have quite the competition spirit, like I say. So I'm quite interested in a lot of sports. I like to go with my sons as well to do some go-karts or to enjoy just time. I'm playing tennis as well.
Nice.
I like to go in the mountain as well during the summer break to just have a break, but with nobody, no crowd, just being not alone, but being in a place where it's calm.
Yeah.
And this is just simple thing of life, to be honest.
And do your kids want to, I guess, go into racing or karting or?
My older son is quite keen on go-kart racing, but he doesn't have the talent to be a driver.
Watch this.
I'm sure you're very frank with him. I'm sure you tell him the truth.
No, he knows it. But to be honest, it doesn't prevent us from having very good time. And now he's improving quite a lot, to be honest.
Yeah.
But so I'm quite happy for him. But now we are having very good time together. But it's just for pleasure and that's it.
There you go. That's what matters.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
To share some good time with your son. So
Exactly.
I really like it like that. But
Love that. Henny, your verdict?
Green?
Oh
no, mate.
No.
I don't think so. Should be purple, no?
I think
Purple?
this is purple.
Let's do it.
By 2 tenths on P2.
2 purples. We're going to see if Christophe can get another purple to get pole.
By 5 tenths.
He might be Charles Leclerc. We don't know.
Faster, maybe.
Q3 rapid fire round coming up soon. Welcome back to the final segment of the Track Limits podcast. We are here with Christophe that now has 2 purples and is going to aim for one final purple.
Do it.
By 2 tenths, you said?
By 2 tenths. It has to be by 2
My
tenths.
target is 5 tenths.
Perfect. Here we go. Rapid fire round. Answer these questions. Rapid full fire. First question. Most embarrassing moment you've ever had at a race weekend?
It doesn't have to be race
It doesn't have
weekend.
to be, yeah.
Racing related, maybe.
Yeah.
It can be a test session.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so it was in 2006. We were going in Nogaro with Kamui Kobayashi.
Okay.
And he wanted to buy some wine with because he had some friend of him coming after the test session.
Okay.
So we stopped in a farm while going to Nogaro by car, and he saw the farmer was making us a tour basically, and then far he just saw a goat, and I saw Kamui doing like that, and really surprised by this goat coming. And the goat arrived close to us and just jumped on the wall.
Oh my god.
And Kamui was, Christophe, what is this strange dog? and it was quite embarrassing for me.
What is a strange dog?
And basically, he never saw a goat before.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. And it was so funny. And I said, mate, are you joking or what? He said, no. And he was so frightened and afraid by this strange animal.
Yeah.
Looks like a dog.
So it was so funny. So it's when you ask for an embarrassing moment,
That is hilarious.
but keep it for you.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, but that one's too good to be able to share.
We're not going to share this at all, right?
Yeah. Next question. If you can have one food for the rest of your life, what would it be?
One food, for sure, not burger, because in England, when I used to go here, we just eat burger. So
Oh, no.
for sure not. I really like, it's quite strange, but veal liver.
Oh, okay.
Veal liver.
Yes.
Nice.
How
It's
does
my
it
favorite.
Cook? Like, is it cooked a certain way?
Really bloody.
Okay.
Like just psh, psh, like
Oh,
that.
no
just
way.
quick.
Yes,
In it.
I really, really like it.
Wow. We
I've
got to try that.
never
Yeah.
had that.
Gotta try that.
Anyway, another guilty pleasure. Do you have any TV shows that?
To be
Tend to watch?
honest, not so much. I'm sorry for that. I don't look at so much the TV, except for normal news or things like
Yeah.
that. But the TV show, No, not so much. I was following. It's more a series with young sporter in tennis, which was displayed last year, but not properly a TV show.
Yeah.
No, one which is quite funny is when you have like it's a bit stupid, but when you have the husband of the wife trying to in front of another couple and trying to show that they know very well each other with some stupid question. I don't know if you have that in Canada.
It's like the newly married
Yes.
or like newly where they test each other to see
Yes.
if they know each
So,
other.
my God.
What is his favorite color? And she said blue, and whereas it was red. So
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
We should do a TL
We
track
should.
limits. How well do we know each other?
Oh, God.
That'd be
I mean,
fun.
he's my brother, so if he,
Okay.
what's my favorite color?
No idea.
No,
Purple?
yeah,
Oh, okay.
there you go. Purple, which is
Got
why I
lucky.
gave you purple.
Next question. You talked about GOATs. Let's talk about the greatest of all time, but for driving. Greatest driver of all time.
I have to say, I think Lewis for me is a GOAT because I think he's the most complete driver we have ever seen, and the fact that he's keeping this level so long is so impressive. Of course, Alonso is impressive, but I think in terms of results and capacity to federate people behind him, I think Lewis is so impressive. For me, I think about it a long time, but for me it's Lewis.
Yeah.
I have
That's
to
why I
say.
wore the sweater.
When you see driver so exceptional like Max, but Max is already saying that he will not stay so long in the sport.
Yeah.
And this is where I think Lewis for me is really the good, because to achieve what he's doing actually at nearly 40, I think he will be 39 this year or something like that.
39.
So it's so impressive.
Yeah, that's true. On the funner side, though, if you can have one superpower, what would it be?
Two ones. The first one would be to be able to translate myself wherever I want in the world in half a second, translation.
Yeah,
you can say that.
teleportation.
Teleportation, yeah.
Yeah, teleportation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because it will save me so much time in traveling.
Indeed.
That one comes up quite a lot in the racing.
Ah, yeah? Ah, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. And the second one should be to being able to recover some driver who died when they were too young, to be honest.
Yeah.
I have a deep thing to Jules and to Antoine.
Yeah.
Because they were, I knew them very well, to be honest, and they were really, really nice kids. So I would really like them to be there.
Yeah. I like that one. That's new. We've never had that one.
No?
No.
So it's a good superpower. I want that for you too. If you had to choose another sport to be a professional in, what would it be?
Tennis,
Yeah.
I would say. I really like this sport because the mental game is so important as well, such as like in motorsport.
Yeah.
I think Djokovic is the Lewis of the tennis, to be honest.
Agreed.
And he's so strong. He's so complete.
Yeah.
And he's the GOAT, I think, as well in tennis today. I just watched a statistic. He won more than 80% of his match in every type of court, like
Hard
grass, and he's the only player to have ever been able to do that.
That's a goat.
Definitely.
What piece of motorsport memorabilia do you want to own, or are you really happy that you own it?
I don't own so much,
Okay.
no. Charles gave me his helmet. Isack as well.
Yeah.
Valtteri as
Yeah.
well. Bottas. I was his race engineer for 3 years.
Mm.
So I'm very proud of this, to be honest. Maybe Ayrton ones. I would, of course, a lot of people would like to, but Ayrton was quite impressive. And Michael as well, which was my idol for 20 years, basically, before it was Lewis.
Most unpopular opinion you have?
Unpopular opinion
Be about everything and anything.
in motorsport or in anything? Or
It could be anything.
in motorsport, I would say that he was thought to be not a good driver, but I know because I race engineer him that he's much better than what every people is thinking. Is Nikita Mazepin. We achieved P2 in the GP3 standings, and he delivered some very good things in GP3. In F2, he finished P5 in his second season, and achieving really good overtaking move. We remember him in Silverstone on Yuki Tsunoda or other driver. and people think he's not that good. But I think Nikita's performance is really related to his environment, and if he trusts his environment. If he trusts his environment, you can really extract a lot from the kid, and I think the kid is much better than what his very small career can show from him.
Great answer.
Yeah.
Best prediction for the F1 2024 season, or bold prediction?
2024, but of course, Max will be the natural title contender. I would say. I will hope Charles will rise his game as well. I expect Lewis and George to be there, because George is also one driver I was lucky to engineer, and he's one of the top guy, I think. And I expect to see the match between Piastri and Norris because for me Piastri is one of the most successful in junior Formula, was one of the biggest talents that I have ever seen. I never worked with him, to be honest, but I think his career in junior Formula is huge, what he achieved. To be able to be champion in Formula Renault F3, F2, 3 years in a row, basically nobody did it before. So I'm really looking forward to seeing which one will take the leadership in McLaren.
Yep.
But I think they will be there as well.
Do you think Lando
So
will
I
win?
think it will be a match of 4 or 5 drivers. I hope at least.
Much closer, yeah.
And the question mark with Fernando as well, depending on the Aston, if it was more like initial season launch performance, or he will struggle more if it's like at the end. But
When it's all said and done, who do you think will have more championships, Oscar Piastri or Charles Leclerc?
oof. Oh, very good.
That's bold.
It was not written like that in your question. In your question, it was between Charles and Esteban.
You mentioned Oscar. I was like, oh, that's a good answer.
Very difficult question. Because they both succeed in F3, F2 level and 2 years in a row as a rookie in F2.
Yeah.
Basically, they make quite different. Charles achieved the first 7 pole of the year, if I'm right, and Oscar achieved the last 6 pole of the year. Really, it's difficult to answer this one. Huh? For me, they are I think with Lewis, they are the 2 most talented kids I have ever seen in junior Formula. I had an answer with Esteban, Charles, but with this one, I know better Charles. So I can say he has all the quality. So maybe I would say Charles, but
tough.
Yeah.
How
very
about
tough one.
Lando versus Oscar? Who do you think will win a Grand Prix first?
But Oscar already won.
Oh no, well, yeah, but it was a sprint. Okay. So
That's her unpopular opinion.
I should reframe that question. Who will win, like a full Grand Prix, not sprint race?
Well, it's tough one because in the end, Lando didn't stay so long in junior Formula, so it's difficult to really make an opinion on him. Because he arrived in F1 when he was so young, and now we can see he really grew up a lot. But I would bet on Oscar.
I would too.
If I have,
Yeah, that's a good one. If you were stuck in an elevator with Vettel, what's the first thing you would do?
In a boat or in a what?
In an elevator.
In an elevator.
In a boat.
I mean, if it was a boat, would you just go
in an
fishing?
elevator, in a boat. In a big boat.
Big boat.
A cruise ship.
As a yacht.
A sailboat, because that's Vettel. You know?
With Vettel,
that's true.
I will remind him. I will speak with him in French because in 1 year in ASM, because the name of ART Grand Prix before was ASM, and he was with us in 2006. And I will speak with him in French and remind him when he was coming back from this first F1 race in, I think it was in USA. He came back in F3, and he spent his whole first free practice in Zandvoort saying to his race engineer, my brakes are not working, my brakes are not working. So we make him stop at some point, and we compare the data with Paul Di Resta, who was there. There was Kobayashi as well. And his brakes were perfectly working. But because he was coming from F1 with a carbon brake, with a lot of downforce, he had the feeling that the brakes were not working. So I would remind him this little story, I think.
How do you say
Because
that in French?
I know he make his race engineer really crazy during the whole free practice. I think he stopped 2-3 times saying, I have a problem on my brakes. Mate, you don't have any problem. It's just Formula 3. It's not F1 anymore.
Oh my God.
So now another stranded, or you're trapped on an island or stranded on an island. Which of the which three of the F1 drivers would you bring?
Of the F1 driver.
Yeah, it could be current or previous.
F1, absolutely F1. So, difficult question. For the partying, I would ask Valtteri and Nikita.
Yeah.
For the spirit competition, I would. He's not in F1 yet, but I hope he will. Isack, because we were doing some F1 culture quiz together, like a little battle together.
Yeah.
And I have to say, he's one of the drivers who beat me. He's really impressive for that, Isack.
Oh my
He has a culture so wide. Even sometimes I was asking him some question of races before he was born, and he knew the answers. And I was sure I would destroy him when I was asking him some stuff in '95 and this kind of stuff, and he knew each time the answers.
Wow.
So he has for the fun and for the quiz, I would like him.
Yes.
And for the third one. Again, I would like Jules and Antoine to, if possible, to be there, because they were. Jules, I was a race engineer of Valtteri Bottas when he was with us, so I fight with him basically on track.
Yeah.
But he was such a nice kid, and basically his talent, his palmarès is not at the level of his talent, because he's same. Yeah, he was so quick on one lap as well. He made a pole on Dijon on Valtteri Bottas by 4/10. On Dijon, where you have 6 corners, basically 4 or 5 tenths, a bit like Charles in Red Bull Ring, where he was so impressive.
Final question: which of these titles best resonates with you if somebody was writing an autobiography on your life? The hardest worker, the free spirit, the dream catcher, or the daredevil?
I would say the dream catcher, because it was my dream to be in motorsport when I first did my go-kart run with my uncle. Like 2 months after, I knew it's what I want to be in and what I want to do. But at this moment, it was just a dream. So I could say to my sons or to my families that I managed to catch my dream. Let's say.
That's amazing.
I would do that.
And I think you might have caught a purple here.
You did.
yeah.
I mean, that story of the sheepdog.
The sheepdog.
Strange dog.
A strange dog.
Strange dog.
He was doing that. I remember. And I used to tell to my friends this story. And each new year, when we go from 31 to 1st, when comes the midnight, they all ask me to tell again this story every new year, because when they have drink a bit and everything,
It's anniversary.
so it's kind of story which are quite famous now in my environment.
Love it. Thank you so much, Christophe, for coming on. Where can people follow you if they want to stay along for your journey?
Excuse me?
On social media? Are you on social media? Can people follow you anywhere?
Not so much, to be honest. I'm not so much on social media, I have to say.
Yeah.
No, not so much.
Brilliant. Well, no worries. We'll put the Hitech socials. Go follow Hitech.
Yes.
An incredible season coming up, hopefully, for Christophe and Hitech. Thank you again for coming out.
It was a pleasure. Thank you very much to all of you. It was very nice. First experience for me like that, but I really enjoy it.
Well, hope for many more.
Switch, you didn't say your
joke. I mean, fair enough. I might as well end the episode here with a joke. Feel free to copy this down if you're watching.
Or we might cut if it doesn't
You're going to do the punchline, though.
I don't know about that.
What do you call, Christophe, a spider with 10 eyes?
Spider with 10 eyes? Good question. A superwoman?
Evan?
It's so dumb.
We are so cutting that.
Like, share, subscribe. We'll see you guys in the next episode. Thank you.